Are you planning a trip to the Smokies? Whether you're staying in a cabin on a mountaintop or a hotel down on the Parkway, in an RV at the KOA, or the family tent in Elkmont, whether you enjoy walking the busy streets of Gatlinburg or a quiet trail in Greenbrier, if your idea of fun is speeding down on a mountain coaster or a vista view from a mountain summit, then this podcast is for you. I'm Chuck Schmidt, and I'm the Outsider. From moonshine to pancakes, from your wedding day to a family reunion, we're here to make your visit more enjoyable, more memorable, sharing with you more of the Smokies. So if your idea of the perfect park is Dollywood or the Great Smoky Mountains themselves, we've got a lot to talk about. So let's get started. But first things first, don't feed the bears. Hello everyone, I'm Chuck Schmidt and I am the Outsider. Here we are at episode 23. 1 year ago on this day, I was fumbling through recording, editing, and releasing episode 1. Yep, episode 1 was launched on July 3rd, 2019. I think I've got a little bit better since then. I have this show and then one more before I wrap up season number 2, which did not go at all like I had planned because of this whole pandemic situation. Still, I hope you like what we're doing here. I guess I haven't really talked about it or how this thing works or any of that. I started this podcast because of another podcast that was putting out inaccurate information and poking fun at the area and the businesses and the visitors. You can be entitled to your own opinion, but not to your own facts. I love that. I love that quote. My show has one sponsor, it's Dancing Barefoot Cabin, which I am part owner. Is anybody surprised by that? Probably not. The cabin message is tagged on at the very end, and if you check out of the episodes after Please Don't Feed the Bears, then you probably never hear the message. I don't take any money from businesses that I mention on the show. I talk about them because I like them, or I'm trying to make you all aware of the different places to go or what's to do that's beyond what you might see in the brochures or on the popular websites. I have no interest in being an influencer. If you pay me this or you give me free tickets, then I'll talk about your attraction on my podcast. Or I'll make a video and I'll put it up on YouTube. Sorry, that's not me. I'm not selling tickets. I'm not doing discount books for any of the attractions. I have no desire because then my message can be edited or altered by those businesses. And quite frankly, I don't need any more bosses in my life. You're smart people. All I'm trying to do is to raise awareness of where to hike, scenic drives, things that are off the beaten path like places to eat or where to go, and what to do as far as how to relax and where to go to have fun. That's the whole goal of my podcast. Now, just a quick update on the whole COVID situation. It's been in the news that cases are rising in Tennessee, Nashville mostly, but also in Sevier County, which includes Gatlinburg, Pigeon Forge, and Sevierville. I don't know how you feel about wearing masks, and I'm not going to get into that whole argument. Masks are not mandatory yet, but I would not be surprised if they were in the not-too-distant future. Be smart. If you're traveling and staying in a cabin or hotel, travel with your own Clorox wipes. Wipe down the surfaces before you unpack. How long would that take? Unless you've rented a cabin that holds 30 people, you'll be done in less than a half hour, and then you'll know it's clean. Also, and I've mentioned this before, take out all the dishes and run them through the dishwasher. That way you start your vacation with clean utensils, plates, and glasses. I do that on every visit to my own cabin, and I have great cleaners that have been with me for years. But think of it this way. On getaway day, for the guests before you, their breakfast dishes may be quickly hand-washed in the sink, dried, and put back in the cabinets. And keep in mind, those dishes are on top. So be safe, be smart. Wear your mask, keep your distance, wash your hands, pre-clean your cabin, and enjoy your vacation. Be smart about your health and those around you. Okay, serious messages completed. Let's get to the episode. One of the most popular questions I get asked, or I see asked on popular message boards or Facebook groups is, when is the best time to visit the Smokies? Great question, but it's also loaded. Most people just start throwing out answers like spring, summer, fall, winter stinks. It's like asking a Facebook group, where's the best barbecue in the Smokies? And sure enough, out come 200 people giving you the same 5 answers. DeLauders, Bennett's, Hungry Bear, Calhoun's, Corky's, blah, 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 blah. No one ever asks, well, what kind of barbecue do you like? Beef, pork, sausage, brisket, ribs, pulled pork sandwiches, wet or dry, Kansas City style, St. Louis, Memphis? So when I'm asked about when is the best time to visit the Smokies, I'll always ask, that depends on what you want to do and what you want to see. There are pros and cons to every season. Without question, the busiest and most crowded time to visit is June, July, and August. and the fall. July is the busiest month of the summer season, while October weekends draw those in search of autumn colors. Since the park has a diverse topography with elevations ranging from 875 feet to more than 6,000, temperatures can vary up to 20 degrees from Pigeon Forge to the mountaintops. So make sure you pack in layers. Always pack a rain jacket no matter what time of the year you visit. Summer is hot with temperatures in the 80s and the 90s, while winters see temperatures down into the mid-30s, as well as road closures due to snow. Fall colors display usually starts mid to late September, when the summer crowds are gone and the lodging rates are a little bit lower, making it a great time to visit. However, you'll see higher rates return for crisp fall October weekends. Most of the annual snowfall occurs from January to March. Early spring, March to May, also sees fewer crowds and lower lodging rates. Although the park is open year-round, some visitor centers, campgrounds, historic attractions do close during the winter months. If you want a rundown of how many visitors come to the area, the busiest months are in this order: July, June, August, October, September, May, April, November, March, December, January, and February. The summer months of June, July, and August will see about 4.5 million people. The fall, September, October, November, will see about 3.5 million people. The spring, March, April, and May, will have 2.9 million people. And the winter, December, January, and February, will see about 1.6 million people. If you're down there now during the July 4th weekend, congratulations! You're down there during the busiest weeks and typically one of the warmest weeks of the year. So let's take a look at each season and the pros and the cons to visiting during each period. Springtime in the Smokies. Although March weather can still be chilly and unpredictable, April and May bring much warmer temperatures and an explosion of wildflowers in the meadows and redbud and dogwood trees in the mountain forests. At lower elevations, temperatures hover in the 60s by day, dropping to the 40s by night, but the weather can change rapidly from sunny skies to snow flurries early in the season. In this shoulder season, travelers can score lower rates on accommodations on weekdays, but rates are higher for spring weekends, which attract quite a few in-state visitors. Now, having said that, the spring is seeing an uptick in visitors as the Smokies are becoming a much more popular destination for spring breakers. April is characterized by frequent afternoon showers, while May temperatures soar into the 70s and the 80s during the day. However, May also sees about 4 inches of rain, similar to April in precipitation totals. Spring weather can be quite unpredictable, with large variances in temperatures, as I mentioned. Occasionally, the mountains can receive large snowfalls in early March. There are some cool sunny days that are ideal for going wildflower hiking. Spring is also a lesser crowded time to explore the Smokies, so if you like to enjoy some privacy during your trip, simply plan to visit in March or April. It's the ideal time to enjoy destinations like Cades Cove, Alum Cave Trail, Klingman's Dome without the crowds. Additionally, spring in the Smoky Mountains is an excellent time to see waterfalls due to the elevated flow of water volume. Abrams Falls, Ramsey Cascades, Place of 1,000 Drips, and Rainbow Falls are especially impressive during this time of the year. To fully enjoy the beauty of the Smokies, go for hikes at lower elevations of the park, like Greenbrier or Cades Cove. After all, the Smoky Mountains National Park is famous for its biological diversity and stunning number of wildflowers. Some popular trails to see wildflowers are Porter's Creek Trail, the Little River Trail, and the Schoolhouse Gap Trail. Let's take a quick peek at these. Porter's Creek Trail allows you to explore both natural and historical features of the Smoky Mountains. During the spring, you can see an abundance of wildflowers along this 4-mile hike. It is one of the best trails to see wild geranium, yellow trilliums, and dwarf ginseng. Not only will you experience gorgeous views and historic sights, but you'll also see a waterfall. Fern Branch Falls sits about 2 miles from the trailhead. The 60-foot waterfall drops off the ridge on the left side of the trail. Porter's Creek Trail is 4 miles, max elevation 2,642 feet with an elevation gain of 699 feet, making for a difficulty rating of 5.4, which is considered moderate. Next up is Gregory Bald via the Gregory Ridge Trail, and although the Gregory Ridge Trail is more of a challenging hike, it's worth every step. It's a total of 11 miles round trip, and it's located near Cades Cove. The unforgettable views of the flame azaleas you'll have on this hike are something you'll definitely not want to miss. The flame azaleas can best be seen when they reach their peak late in the spring season. The flowers aren't the only sights you'll see along the hike. once you reach Gregory Bald, you'll be able to see Cades Cove, Rich Mountain, Nantahala National Forest, and the Yellow Creek Mountains. Distance is 11.3 miles, max elevation of 4,949 feet, elevation gain of 3,020 feet, giving this a difficulty rating of 17.34, so this is considered a strenuous hike. Next is Little River Trail. Little River Trail is another one of the best spring hikes in the Smokies. It's a 4.9 round-trip hike that features views of peaceful streams, some history, wildflowers. The most common flowers found along this trail are the rhododendrons, the yellow trilliums, Canadian violets. The best time to see the wildflowers are mid-March through April. And Little River Trail has a distance of 4.9 miles, max elevation of 2,637, elevation gain of 412 feet with a difficulty rating of 5.72. Again, that is considered moderate. Rich Mountain Loop. Rich Mountain Loop offers great hiking opportunities throughout the year, but there is something special about hiking this during the spring. The trail is 8.5 miles round trip. It reaches a max elevation of 3,691 feet. It is a great spot to take in views of Cades Cove and includes a wide variety of wildflowers. If you want to explore Cades Cove while avoiding the crowds, this is the perfect trail for you. It is 8.5 miles, max elevation of 3,691 feet, elevation gain of 1,736 feet for a difficulty rating of 11.97. Finally, Andrews Bald, and to get to Andrews Bald, you will take the Forney Ridge Trail. About 1.7 miles into the trail, you will reach the outskirts of Andrews Bald. About 100 yards from there, you will have panoramic views of Fontana Lake and the Smoky Mountains. Like Gregory Bald, the trail features stunning displays of flame azaleas, rhododendron during the late spring. The hike to Andrews Bald is 3.6 miles, max elevation of 6,310 feet, elevation gain of 899 feet for a difficulty rating of 5.3, and that would be considered moderate. Now, coming to the Smokies in the spring, there are pros, and like I said, do you love viewing wildflowers? If so, then this is your greatest opportunity. During 5 days in April, the Spring Wildflower Pilgrimage takes place, and that is near the National Park. Visitors can participate in art and photography workshops, nature and history walks, and motor tours. You'll see beautiful flowers in bloom and feel the first blush of the new season. Crowds are not also as numerous as they are during the summertime. Now, the cons as far as coming in the spring. The weather can be unpredictable, during March and April especially. Warm sunshine can appear in the morning, and then it can turn to snow later in the day. This usually happens more in early spring and becomes more mild by mid-April. But more rain falls during this month as well, so be prepared for lots of moisture if you visit during this time of the year. As far as pricing goes, March is mid-priced except for the second half, and that's because of spring break. April, high-priced for the first half, again due to spring break. Second half goes back to being about mid-priced. And May is mid-priced except for Memorial Day weekend, which of course is considered a premium. Next is summertime in the Smokies. I hope you love being around people. Expect peak lodging rates, heavy traffic on popular routes like Cades Cove, Roaring Forks Motor Trail, Newfound Gap Road in the summertime. Temperatures can soar into the 80s and the 90s in the lower elevations, although evenings really stay comfortably cool in the 60s and 70s. Although humidity is not as severe in this area, visitors will see some haze and afternoon thunderstorms are fairly common. You need to reserve hotels and cabins up to a year in advance during the peak season, especially large cabins for larger groups. Summer is the perfect time of the year to enjoy outdoor activities like whitewater rafting, zip lining, horseback riding, ATV riding. Wildlife like deer, bear, turkey are very active during the summer season, so it's a prime time to see some wildlife. On warm, sunny days, many visitors cool off by going to the swimming holes in the national park, exploring waterfalls, or visiting high-elevation parts of the Smokies like Newfound Gap, the Chimney Tops Trail, and Klingman's Dome. As far as great trails to take in the Smokies during the summer, first up is Big Creek Trail. I've talked about this trail on numerous occasions because it's one of my favorites. It's maybe about 45 minutes outside of Gatlinburg. It's a nice trail. The trail is 4.2 miles round trip. When you reach the halfway point, you will see Mouse Creek Falls. And Mouse Creek Falls is a 45-foot waterfall that offers incredible views. When you hike the trail, you will also pass Midnight Hole, which is a deep pool that lies below a 6-foot waterfall. You can stop by on your way back and just cool off in the mountain pool and escape some of the summer heat. Big Creek Trail is 4.2 miles, max elevation 2,338 feet, elevation gain is 605 feet, for a difficulty rating of 5.41. I don't think I mentioned difficulty ratings on this episode. Just so you know, 0 through 4.9 is considered an easy hike. 5 to 10 is considered moderate. Anything over 10 is considered strenuous. Next up on our list is Laurel Falls. This trail is fairly easy and it's great for families. It's only 2.6 miles to the waterfall and back. The trail is paved, but it's a little bit rough and kind of uneven in some spots, so be careful. The waterfall is 80 feet high, with both an upper and a lower section that's divided by a walkway, and that crosses the stream at the base. It gets extremely busy during the summer months, so keep that in mind when you're trying to carve out some time for your hiking adventure. Laurel Falls is probably the most visited falls that we have in the park. Distance, 2.3 miles, max elevation, 2,677 feet, elevation gain of 314 feet, difficulty rating of 2.93, so that is considered an easy hike. Next up is Ramsey Cascades, and here's your chance to see the tallest waterfall in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. Hiking the Ramsey Cascades Trail can be a little more difficult. It's got a distance of 8 miles round trip. The trail gains more than 2,000 feet in elevation, but you will be rewarded with a stunning sight. Water drops roughly 100 feet over several tiers and collects in a small pool at the very bottom, where you can often find salamanders during the summer season. The last 2 miles of the trail pass through a forest where you can see a wide variety of gorgeous wildflowers. Make sure to bring your camera on this hike because this is a perfect picture hike. Distance is 8 miles, max elevation 4,269 feet, elevation gain at 2,190 feet. It has a difficulty rating of 12.38, which is considered strenuous. Next up is Chimney Tops, and Chimney Tops is one of the most popular and strenuous hikes in the Smoky Mountains. The summit has an elevation of 4,800 feet, and it is one of the park's most recognizable geological structures since it's a rare rock summit in the Smokies. You can see the Twin Peaks as you wind along on Newfound Gap Road. The hike is 4 miles round trip, and it's quite a workout. After severe damage on the summit from the wildfire back in 2016, the trail reopened in 2017. However, the final quarter mile of the hike to the rock pinnacles remains closed. A new observation area has been built with views of the pinnacles and Mount LeConte. So distance is 3.3 miles, max elevation 4,753 feet, elevation gain of 1,487 feet, with a difficult rating of 6.27, so that is considered moderate. Finally, Grotto Falls, and Grotto Falls is another very popular waterfall hike in the Smokies during the summer. To get to the falls, you'll follow the Trillium Gap Trail through an old-growth hemlock forest. It's a 2.6-mile round-trip hike to the waterfall and back. What's so great about this hike and why is it so popular? It's because the trail runs behind the 25-foot-high waterfall. It's a perfect hike for hiking in the summer because of the cool, moist environment around the falls. Kids love being up close to the waterfall and seeing the salamanders. The distance is 2.6 miles, max elevation 3,777 feet, elevation gain 585 feet, difficulty rating 3.77, so this is considered easy. This is probably one of the best summer hikes out there just because of the falls and the difficulty rating. It's a great family hike. So, coming to the Smoky Mountains in the summertime, as far as the pros, what's not to love about the Smokies in the summer? This season is just about when every festival is going on, such as Gatlinburg's week-long Tunes and Tales festivals, the Patriot Festival in Pigeon Forge, endless slate of outdoor music concerts, farmers markets, other celebrations. Summertime also brings plenty of active pursuits as well. Hiking in the national park or other nearby trails, you can go river rafting, take a drive on the Blue Ridge or the Foothills Parkway, go exploring areas around outside of the Smoky Mountains. Visit Asheville or Cherokee over on the other side of the Smokies. There's biking, horseback riding, boating, fishing, anything you like to do in the outdoors, plus all the attractions in Gatlinburg, Pigeon Forge, and Sevierville. Now, as far as the cons, Some of the biggest drawbacks to the Smokies in the summertime obviously are the crowds, the heat, and the expense. Even with its elevated location, Gatlinburg and the surrounding areas do become hot and humid during the daytime, but become exceptionally pleasant in the evening, so try to plan the bulk of your physical activities in the mornings to avoid both issues. But come on out and enjoy the evenings. Head over to Old Smokies Moonshine in either Gatlinburg or at the Island in Pigeon Forge. Enjoy the rocking chairs and the music, and of course the beautiful fountains. So one of my favorite things to do at night is to go play hillbilly golf at night up on their mountainsides. Beautifully lit. It's a great time. It's a fun family event. And as far as pricing goes, June is high priced, all of it. It's the summer season. July is high priced, all of it, plus the 4th of July brings a premium. August, mid-priced, as summer season starts to wind down. So August is actually the best time during the summer to come visit if you're looking for a more economical time to do it. Next, moving on to fall. Fall is one of the most popular seasons for visitors. Outdoor enthusiasts enjoy warm days in the 70s and the 80s in September and cool nights dipping down into the 50s. Perfect for hiking and biking during the days or dipping into the hot tub at night. Other visitors will enjoy taking scenic drives through the park to enjoy the fall colors, which begins in mid to late September, which is nice because lodging rates during that time are typically a little bit low. In October, however, as the days get cooler and the leaves reach peak color, throngs of visitors return to the park on the weekends especially. Crowds of people, peak pricing returns. By November, temperatures drop to near freezing, and snow is a possibility in the higher elevations, which may come with some road closures. With dry, cool weather and stunning autumn colors, the fall is one of the best times to go hiking in the national park. Some popular fall hikes to explore are the Alum Cave Trail, and continuing on the Alum Cave Trail all the way to Mount LeConte, and the Middle Prong Trail in Tremont. Alum Cave could be your path to an exciting day of exploring. It's arguably one of, if not the best and most popular hikes in the Smoky Mountains. It isn't necessarily that the trail is the longest or the most challenging, but rather it's got a great blend of geological wonders and scenic views and just sheer beauty. If you're hiking only to the cave, distance is 4.4 miles, max elevation 4,955 feet, elevation gain of 1,125 feet, so the difficulty rating is moderate. If you're going all the way to Mount LeConte, strap on your serious hiking boots because the distance now is 11 miles, max elevation of 6,593 feet, elevation gain of 2,763 feet for a difficulty rating of 16.53, and that is considered strenuous. The Middle Prong Trail, hands down, Middle Prong Trail is one of the better waterfall, if not the best waterfall hike in the Smokies. The trail passes 3 major waterfalls, in addition to numerous smaller falls, cataracts, and cascades. Lower Lynn Camp Falls is a 35-foot multi-tiered waterfall, and it's one of the more impressive falls in the park. Later you will see Lynn Camp Falls, another beautiful multi-tiered waterfall, and then finally Indian Flat Falls. In total, Indian Flats Falls drops roughly 60 feet in 3 separate tiers, with the top tier dropping roughly 20 feet. The middle tier is located near the end of the trail, and you're going to have to look closely downstream to see the lower tier. The Middle Prong Trail is 8.3 miles, max elevation 3,046 feet, elevation gain of 1,140 feet, difficulty rating of 10.58, so that is considered strenuous. Now, suggested mid to late September hikes would be Andrews Bald, which I spoke of earlier, and Rocky Top, which I don't think I've ever actually talked about before, is hiking to Rocky Top. Rocky Top provides some of the most stunning views within the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. It's one of 3 summits on Thunderhead Mountain and offers a challenge to even the most experienced hikers. Upon arrival at the Rocky Peak, you will have a 360-degree panoramic view of the mountains, North Carolina's Fontana Lake, and historic Cades Cove. Rocky Top is a must-see and do experience for hiking enthusiasts and adventurers. Be prepared for a tough and exhausting hike with multiple elevation climbs. This is an exhaustive hike, but the views from Rocky Top are well worth making the trip. Plus, you get to sing the song all the way up there. Distance is 13.9 miles, max elevation 5,527 feet, elevation gain 3,665 feet. Difficulty rating is a whopping 21.23, which is serious, and it begins to tip out on the what are you, nuts scale? But that is Rocky Top. During the early to mid-October time period, During most years, fall colors in the Smokies usually begin to reach the peak at elevations above 4,500 feet. So trees such as American beech and yellow birch, they're going to begin to turn a bright yellow, while mountain ash, pin cherry, mountain maple, they'll show off brilliant shades of red. In the lower elevations, you may notice a few dogwoods and maples that are just beginning to turn, but you'll also see a few scattered sourwood and sumac just beginning to turn that bright red as well. So suggested early to mid-October hikes, you'll still want to be hiking at the higher elevations. In addition to the suggested hikes that I just listed above, check out Gregory Bald, which I mentioned earlier, Mount Camerer, which I've talked about multiple times on many previous episodes, or Albright Grove, and I've never talked about Albright Grove. Albright Grove is an excellent example of an old-growth cove hardwood forest, which is one of the most diverse forest types in North America and the most abundant in the Smokies. As a result, the grove contains some of the oldest and the tallest trees in the park. Unfortunately, during the first half of the 20th century, most of the large hardwood trees in the Great Smoky Mountains were cleared by loggers or killed by blights, such as the devastating chestnut blight. Although Albright Grove has suffered through blights and infestations over the years, it was mostly spared by the lumber companies. Today, eastern hemlock and tulip poplars dominate this protected grove. Hikers will also find buckeye, yellow birch, Fraser magnolia, silver bells, basswoods, beeches, and sugar maples. The distance is 6.7 miles, max elevation 3,330 feet, an elevation gain of 1,475 feet for a difficulty rating of 9.65, so this is considered near the top of the moderate scale. Autumn colors usually reach their peak in the mid to lower elevations in the Great Smoky Mountains between mid-October and early November. This is usually the best time to visit the park, as you will see the spectacular displays of color from sugar maples, red maples, scarlet oaks, sweet gums, and hickories. Your hiking choices will have expanded greatly during this time period as well. You can continue to hike the hikes that I just mentioned at the higher elevations to take in the fall colors from above, or you could walk amongst them in the lower elevations. So, some suggested mid to late October hikes. If you wish to hike at elevation for spectacular fall views, try exploring Rich Mountain Loop, which I've spoke of, Alum Cave, Hemphill Bald Loop, the Shuckstack Fire Tower, or the Charles Bunyan Trails. If you wish to hike amongst the trees, then check out Baskins Creek Falls, Little River Trail, Grapeyard Ridge Trail, and the Portage Creek Trail. Now, Hemphill Bald Loop, this is a little bit of everything. Lovely rolling hills. This is over in the Chattahoochee area. Great views from Hemphill Bald, iconic Smokies forests. This has a remote backcountry feel. It's a challenging descent to climb to round out this really great hike. It is 13.7 miles, max elevation 5,532 feet, elevation gain 2,780 feet for a difficulty rating of 18.04, which is considered strenuous. The Shuckstack Fire Tower features outstanding views of the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, Lake Fontana, as well as Nantahala and Snowbird, and this might be just one of the best fire tower hikes in the Smokies. Your Shuckstack adventure starts at the Fontana Dam outside of Bryson City. As the highest dam east of the Rocky Mountains, that's a sight to be seen on its own. And this will be your last chance to fill up your water bottle or use a restroom, so take advantage. Distance is 7 miles, max elevation 4,020 feet, elevation gain 2,120 feet for a difficulty rating of 11.24, which is considered strenuous. The hike to Charlie's Bunyan begins from Newfound Gap, and Charlie's Bunyan is a rock outcropping that was originally known as Fodder Stack. Charlie's Bunyan offers spectacular views of the mountains to the north, Mount Kephart and Jump Off to the west, Mount Guyot towards the east. Due to extreme drop-offs, you will definitely want to watch your footing in this area. Distance is 8.1 miles, max elevation 6,122 feet, elevation gain 1,640 feet, difficulty rating of 11.38. As for the forest level hikes, I've talked about the Little River Trail, Grapeyard Ridge Trail, that's one with the steam engine on it, and Portage Creek Trail, but let's talk about Baskins Creek Falls. The hike to Baskins Creek Falls, also known as Baskins Falls, begins with a short, easy climb. At roughly 1/4 of a mile, the terrain levels out to where you have some decent views of the mountains towards the west, as well as a few glimpses of Gatlinburg. But that's only if you're hiking in the winter or the early spring, otherwise it's mostly overgrown. The trail then veers off to the left and it begins following the creek down the mountain. This is one of the few waterfall hikes that you actually travel down the mountain to. This is a fairly rapid descent, and it is going to make for a challenging climb on your return trip. The last 50 yards or so down to Baskins Creek Falls is fairly steep and rugged, but well worth the effort. This is a 40-foot, two-tiered waterfall that just might be the most underrated waterfall in the Smokies. Distance on this hike is 3.0 miles, max elevation 2,927 feet, elevation gain of 953 feet with a difficulty rating of 4.91, and this is considered an easy hike. I hiked this trail, and I've got to be absolutely honest, this trail just kicked my butt. It's one of the few trails where you start out and you're hiking downhill. And I don't know about you as a hiker, but for me, hiking downhill can burn out your legs a lot faster than hiking uphill. And this is a very, very steep descent down the side of this mountain. So for some reason, I don't know if it was just that day, where my legs just bonked out on me. So this is one of those hikes where I was actually negotiating with the mountain. Okay, I need to hike up to that rock, and from that rock I'll go to that tree, and from that tree I'll go to that stump. I actually found Ramsey Cascades the next day easier, because Ramsey Cascades, you hike up, it levels off, you hike up a little bit more, it levels off. Baskins Creek Falls, it's a steep hike down, it's a steep hike up. I know they consider 4.91 is considered easy, but for me, this was actually kind of a challenge. But it's Baskins Creek Falls, and again, the falls are beautiful. 40-foot, two-tiered waterfall. Don't miss this. All right, moving on. Suggested early November hikes. As the fall colors continue to wind down in early November, unless you're a very experienced hiker, you're probably going to want to be hiking at this point at the lower elevations in the park. So check out Miggs Mountain Trail, Schoolhouse Gap Trail, Abrams Falls, Oconaluftee River Trail, Indian Falls, or the Deep Creek Loop. These are all easy hikes with the exception of Abrams Falls, which is probably my favorite hike in the park, which is considered moderate. One thing to be aware of is that wildlife like bear and deer are quite active during the fall season as they are trying to make preparations for winter. So fall in the Smokies is incredibly picturesque, a lot of wildlife, so make sure you bring your camera on these hikes. Do be aware that the fall season is an especially busy time around the Smokies. Many visitors flock to the national parks to experience the beautiful colors. Areas like Cades Cove, Newfound Gap quickly become overcrowded, so it may be a good idea to avoid the crowds by visiting the hidden gems in the park that I've talked about before, going out to Greenbrier, Tremont, or the Cataloochee Valley. Pricing. Pricing is all over the board when it comes to the fall. September is high-priced for Labor Day weekend, but it drops to mid-priced for the remainder of the month. October, all month now, is high-priced. It used to be mostly weekends, but when you're seeing occupancy ratings in the 90 and above now for a lot of cabins in October, the prices have all risen. November, the weekends are high, but weekdays are mid-priced. Thanksgiving, of course, that's at a premium. As for the pros for visiting in the fall, the months after the hectic summer season are simply wonderful, especially for nature lovers. Beautiful fall colors appear right at the end of September and continue into early November. The hues of the Smokies rival those of New England, if not being even better. Of course, the climate cools down and it dries out. It's great for sweaters and jacket time, but it rarely becomes bone-chilling cold in mid-autumn. You'll spy a lot more wildlife, particularly around Cades Cove in the national park. Again, that's why that gets so busy. You'll also find quite a few fall festivals in the area, and you'll want to catch Harvest Festival and Luminites at Dollywood. That's a great festival that they have going on. Now, the cons about coming out in the fall, perhaps the one negative about coming out this time of the year is the occasional cold weather that can catch many visitors by surprise. Always check the forecast before your visit. Also, each year, more visitors are arriving to see the fall colors, so you will encounter many more crowds during this time of year. And one thing to keep in mind, if you are booking cabins with a view, and that's the really important thing is you want that fall view from your cabin, and you've never been here before, just know that that view always comes with a price, and typically those cabins are on the top of the mountains. So it pains me when I see reviews for a cabin and people don't think this through, that you will have to drive up mountain roads to get to that cabin on top of that mountain to enjoy that mountain view. So consider yourself warned, a lot of these cabins are a little more difficult to get to than those that may not have that spectacular view, but that's why you get the view. The views are always on top of the mountains. You're not going to get that view from the parkway, so consider yourself warned. Moving on to wintertime in the Smokies. And although wintertime is fairly moderate in terms of temperatures, it's not unusual to experience some extreme weather at the higher elevations. Daytime temperatures generally hover around the 50s with lows at freezing or below. In January and February, those are the months when you will see the most snowfall. Lodging rates are the lowest during this season, except for holidays, including Thanksgiving and Christmas. Keep in mind, some attractions, visitor centers, campgrounds are all closed during the wintertime. Once winter arrives in the Smokies, high elevation areas of the park routinely see temperatures below freezing. Lower elevations like Gatlinburg and Cades Cove usually have mild temperatures and don't receive much snowfall at all. January and February are the biggest months to see snow, especially in the higher elevations such as Mount LeConte, Newfound Gap, and Clingman's Dome. The colder temperature also transforms the landscape of the Smokies into a beautiful winter wonderland. With stunning frozen waterfalls and snow-capped mountains, winter is an incredible time to get out and explore the park. Better yet, hikers will enjoy better visibility from hiking trails after the leaves have fallen. Laurel Falls Trail and the Mount Cameron Fire Tower are some excellent destinations for winter hikes. But be aware, the higher elevations in the national parks can become very snowy and icy during the winter months. If you plan to do a mountaintop destination like Mount LeConte or the Jump Off, you may need to bring winter hiking gear. Winter hiking in the Smokies offers a unique set of challenges to bear in mind, such as poor trail conditions. The Smokies can get a lot of rain and a lot of snow in the winter months. Many hikers think trekking through the snow will be the most difficult part of the winter hike. However, the larger danger is ice. Large sections of frozen water can develop on trails, making them hazardous to cross. This is especially true for trails along the high peaks, like the Appalachian Trail, that straddles many mountain ridges. Take your time, tread carefully over ice, bring walking sticks, trekking poles. Cold temperatures can be an issue. Rainy, cold, icy. These are all words that can describe winter hiking in the Smokies. The rain can be unpleasant during any time of the year, but when the temperature is close to freezing, hikers risk hypothermia. As hikers reach the higher elevations, the weather can become even more extreme. Much colder temperatures, higher winds, colder wind chill. For every 1,000 feet of elevation gained, the temperature will drop 3.5 degrees Fahrenheit on average, so keep that in mind. When it comes to streams and rivers, the water levels are generally higher during the winter. Stream crossings without bridges are often just a series of stepping stones, and they can become submerged. There is also a risk of falling into the water that can make for a very miserable and potentially dangerous hike. In the wintertime, road closures are also an issue. After a weather event like a snowstorm or ice storm, it is likely that roads in the higher elevations of the park will be closed. Clingman's Dome Road is closed for the whole season, and sections of Newfound Gap Road may be closed periodically. Such an event can make it impossible to reach your desired trailhead, so be sure to stay up to date on road closures and weather information. Always check in with the Park Service. One other thing to keep in mind is less daylight. As the days grow shorter, so does the time you have to hike in daylight. Many trails on the national park are quite long and require several hours to complete, so be sure to get an early start on your hike so you can enjoy the outdoors with the added warmth of the sun. A good rule of thumb is to estimate your hiking time. For example, if your average pace might be 45 minutes for 1 mile of travel, a 5-mile trail might take 3 hours and 45 minutes to complete, so do the math in your head before you hike. Check the weather. This can be a difference between a fantastic experience and a miserable one. Avoiding poor weather like rain can make your hike far more enjoyable during the cool winter months. As all experienced hikers, staying dry is key, so make sure you bring a rain jacket and waterproof boots. Not only is bringing the proper gear more comfortable, but it can also prevent risks of hypothermia, so keeping yourself dry is the best way to regulate your body temperature and enjoy the Smokies. And that also means bringing layers. Depending on the day and trail elevation, weather conditions can vary widely in the mountains, from sub-freezing temperatures and snow to 65 degrees and sunny. So there's a lot to be prepared for. Bringing layers of clothing you can always add or shed as needed, and this is a necessity during winter hikes in the Smokies. Staying hydrated in the wintertime is also important, so make sure you bring enough drinking water. This is often overlooked regardless of season. Make sure you pack your cell phone. Even though cell coverage is spotty throughout the park, it is possible that you might be able to pick up a cell signal in case of emergency. Navigation. A map is extremely important in the Smoky Mountains. Signage in the backcountry can be unclear at times, and a proper map can save you miles of unnecessary walking. Speaking as a ex-Boy Scout scoutmaster, the best way to never get lost is to always know where you are, so make sure you refer to your map on a regular basis. Next is letting someone know where you go. This is especially important when hiking in the off seasons because there are not a whole lot of other people out there on the trails with you. So informing a friend or family member where you will be hiking is always a good idea before venturing out. And also give them an estimated return time and let them know your exact trail route so that they know if you're overdue. And remember, in the wintertime, it's incredibly important to stay on the trails. Keeping on the marked trails is the best way to avoid injury or becoming lost. This is especially true when exploring waterfalls, since there are often slippery rocks and heights to contend with around those things. So there you go. There's my list of all the possible difficulties you might encounter. There are plenty of pros and cons to hiking in the Smokies, especially in the wintertime, and many of the potential difficulties and discomforts can be avoided with planning and preparation. Another way to enjoy a successful hike is to pick a trail that's less challenging and even more spectacular during the winter season. Many of these trails are at the lower elevations. They boast shorter distances, and generally you're less exposed to the elements. And here are a few of them. First up is Rainbow Falls. This popular winter hike features a stunning waterfall. During the winter, water levels are generally higher, and the flow of the falls is even more impressive. Combined with cold, below freezing nights, this waterfall will produce huge icicles and frozen formations. This trail is close to Gatlinburg, and it is 5.4 miles, max elevation 4,285 feet, elevation gain of 1,685 feet. Difficulty rating is 8.77, so this is considered moderate. Next up is Laurel Falls, and as I mentioned before, it's one of the easier hikes in the Smokies. This is truly a sight to behold when, after a cold stretch of weather, the falls are frozen. So what's also nice is that the path is partially paved. So it's good, it's wide, it's safe, it's fairly well traveled, and that's Laurel Falls. Next up is Ramsey Cascades. As I mentioned before, this is a challenging 8-mile hike that leads to the tallest waterfall in the Smokies. And although the trail involves a continuous climb and a few stream crossings, most of the trail is very well maintained, and this is a safe trail to travel in the wintertime. Next is the Middle Prong Trail. As I mentioned before, this is a wide, level trail, follows an old roadbed. Middle Prong Trail is located at the end of the Tremont Road. There are several opportunities to see waterfalls and the Cascades, and it's just gorgeous in the cold weather. You're going to pass by some old homesteads and evidence of logging camps that once thrived along the river, so it's a very interesting trail to hike. Just some final thoughts. With the exception of holiday weekends, winter in the Smokies is typically much less crowded. The nearby towns of Pigeon Forge and Gatlinburg are fully decorated for Christmas lights, and there's plenty of ways to get into the holiday spirit. When coming to the Smokies in the wintertime, you should note that some roads in the national park are closed during the winter season, including Roaring Forks Motor Trail and Klingman's Dome Road. Additionally, winter weather events can sometimes close high-elevation roads like Newfound Gap Road, and after a large snowfall, the entire national park can close, but really that's quite rare. If you're a little unsure about hiking in the Smokies in the wintertime, you're a little nervous about it, a little stressed, you don't want to deal with all the stress of driving in the mountains on snowy or icy roads, then one of the things that I might consider recommending to you would be one of the local guide services. We work with a Walk in the Woods guide service. They know all the places to take you as far as hiking, show you all the cool little things that you would probably miss on your own, and most of all, make sure that you're having a safe and enjoyable hike. And again, I would highly recommend a Walk in the Woods guide service if you're going to take a guide service through the national park. Other things to explore when you come to the Smokies during the winter season, obviously, is Winterfest and the Winterfest lights. Every winter, Sevier County becomes a winter wonderland with more than 5 million lights brightening up the night. This will be its 27th year. Winterfest has become one of the most anticipated celebrations in the Smokies and in the area. Whenever you drive through the county, you're sure to see awesome light arrangements. Businesses like to get out and get in the fun too. You'll see amazing lights at the Old Mill, the Island, Smoky Mountain Opry, Dixie Stampede, and especially Smoky Mountains Christmas at Dollywood. The other things to do in the wintertime in the Smokies, obviously, is Ober-Gatlinburg. And Ober-Gatlinburg is the ultimate destination for winter adventure in the Smokies. For many people, winter in the Smokies means one thing, and that's skiing and snowboarding at Ober-Gatlinburg. The slopes at Obergatlinburg are tentatively open during the holiday season. It continues throughout the winter. They have 10 different ski trails at the park with varying levels of difficulty. Everyone, from beginners to experts, can have a great time. If you're new to skiing or snowboarding, the folks at Obergatlinburg offer lessons from experts in their field. And if you're not up for skiing but you still love the snow, then snow tubing is a great option also. And there's nothing like zipping down the hill on a huge inner tube. When you're done hitting the slopes, you still have so much more to do. There is the Ski Mountain Coaster that is open in the wintertime when the tracks are not frozen. You can also head inside and check out the plethora of shops and the food courts and even go ice skating. And all of that is up at Obergatlinburg. The pros for coming to the Smokies in the wintertime? From Thanksgiving to President's Day, the Smoky Mountains receives the fewest number of visitors, with the exception of Christmas through New Year's. But don't let that stop you from heading down this way because you won't have as much tourist and traffic congestion to fight. Christmas festivals, celebrations, decorations fill the calendar. In the park, you'll see more wildlife because the trees have less cover that normally hides the animals. Since it's off-season, accommodation rates are cheaper. Finally, the weather is pleasant enough to go exploring. It's not so cold that it's all that uncomfortable. And if you're not looking for an outdoor adventure, you might just be looking for a nice, relaxing evening by the fire. Spending a few days in your Smoky Mountain cabin, such as Dancing Barefoot, can help disconnect you from the hustle and the bustle of daily life and reconnect you to nature. It's no wonder why renting a cabin is one of the top winter things to do in the Smokies. The magic of the mountains when the trees are blanketed with the snow and icicles and how they shine through the sun. Relaxing with your family by a fire is an awesome way to spend your Smoky Mountains vacation. Now the cons. Snowfall is perhaps the most significant difficulty about visiting the Smokies in the winter. You can still hike many of the trails, but roads do close due to icy conditions. Always check ahead of time for updates. Many restaurants, attractions, and stores may have limited hours, weekend-only hours, or are closed altogether heading into the winter season. As far as lodging pricing in the wintertime, December, up until a few days before Christmas, December is mid-priced due to Winterfest. Christmas through New Year's obviously is premium priced. January is low priced except for the New Year's Day area, which again is premium priced, and then a little higher price for MLK weekend. February is low priced except for Valentine's Day and President's Day weekend. Well, there you have it. That's the pros and the cons to all 4 seasons. You just need to decide which is the best fit for you. Hot or cold, crowded, less crowded, wildflowers or fall colors, it's all your personal preference. And it's always a good season to visit the Smokies. So remember, a fed bear is a dead bear. Please don't feed the bears. Thanks for listening. An Outsider's Guide to the Smoky Mountains was brought to you by Dancing Barefoot Cabin. If you're looking for a log cabin lodging experience beyond the ordinary, then Dancing Barefoot Cabin is for you. Conveniently located in between Pigeon Forge and Gatlinburg. Explore the possibilities at dancingbarefoot.com. That's dancingbarefoot, BEARFOOT.com. Pizza Bear illustration by Kenton Visser. Music by Jay Denton.